Hello, everyone. Welcome to Texas Lone Wolf MGHOW, for your source for Red Pill Truth. Today, we are going to do a video titled, Are You an Omega Female? Omega Female, the unique personality, okay? Now, the Omega Female is similar to the Delta female, the Sigma female, and let me see what else. Well, actually, she's similar to Sigma. She's similar to the Delta, but she's actually, basically kind of like an outcast, I guess, type of person, outcast. But this woman, I'm fixing to read on the topic of, this today's discussion. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take this picture off. We're gonna go dig deep into this. All righty. Texas Lone Wolf MGHOW, your source for Red Pill Truth. Okay. Now let's get started, shall we? So, now for the Omega female, do you find yourself not really caring about what other people think? Perhaps following the social norm, not really you, and you can't understand how women want to follow everybody else. Maybe you prefer your own company and don't have one or two close friends. If so, you might be an Omega female. Male personality archetypes have been discussed more and more recently, okay? Guys related to being a Omega, Alpha, Omega, Delta, Sigma, Gamma, and all that. It's not just men who have these archetypes, okay? Women also have these social hierarchies. So this is the final video for the female personality playlist that I have created on this YouTube channel. Now, this is in no way related to any colleges out there. If anybody have fraternities that goes out and want to talk smack, listen, I'm talking about personalities. I'm not talking about fraternities. So anybody who comes up with this BS, please go somewhere else, okay? Now, this article is all about Omega females and their amazing personality trait. Read on to discover if you are an Omega female, okay? What is an Omega female, okay? An Omega female is a woman who is, number one, introverted. Number two, she doesn't like to be the center of attention. And lastly, they do their own thing and pretty intelligent, okay, so to speak. She will normally play down her intelligence, not really want to show off. Okay? She is really intelligent, but she wants to play it down, kind of keep people at bay, okay? She prefers to spend time alone and working on things and pursuing her hobbies and interests. All right, are you ready to get into it? Now, 7 Omega female traits. There's the Omega female right here. Now we know the basics of what an Omega female is. Let's go through the traits and characteristics of an Omega female in more details, so if you see, you can relate to any. Are you ready? She's introverted. All right. The main characteristic of an Omega female is that she's an introvert. She doesn't really enjoy large parties or have big groups of friends, feeling much more comfortable being alone or with a handful of people. Okay? The Omega female doesn't really crave a busy social life. She's just happy with how she is and does not envy those more socially popular than her. People at work or in her social group may view her as shy and reserved. And this is how Omega female likes to be, shy and reserved. The Omega female really enjoys her own company and really just never really feels lonely. She normally has a lot of things going on in her private life, those hobbies and interests keep her to company when she's alone. She takes solace in books, films, games, and other solo activities. Alrighty. She has a very few extremely close friends. She will often see 2 or 3 people as being her friends, but the friendship provided with her with so much support. She is supportive and very loyal to her close friends, and they are the same as her. They look out for each other, will give sound advice. Okay, in an Omega female's eyes, friendship is all about quality over quantity. Her friends understand her time for her time alone, and she never push her and will never push her to be sociable when she does not feel like it. But she'll play down her intelligence, but she's extremely intelligent. So, an Omega female is often extremely smart and is respected by her colleagues and acquaintances. But she's normally an overachiever and will be successful in her career. She is a hard worker only when she's interested in her work. Okay, an Omega female craves intellectual stimulation will pursue her hobbies that work her brain. But she has a sharp mind, enjoys a challenge. Her intelligence will mean that her close friends are often as smart as her. Despite being introverted, an Omega female enjoys debating and talking about big issues in life. Not afraid to ask questions or challenge philosophical and political ideas. The Omega female always a great person to talk to. Of course, she needs to open up to you first. So, her intelligence means people will often seek her out for advice. She is thoughtful about things that will take great care in what advice she gives, especially her friends and family. An Omega female will often be an empath. Empath is someone who is in tune with other people's thoughts and feelings. They'll often feel what other people are feeling and have a deep understanding of other people's emotions. And if you think you're an empath, read our news article here that discusses amazing gift in much more detail. She can be overly sensitive. One of the negative traits of the Omega female is their tendency to be overly sensitive. Because she spends a lot of time in her head, she runs the risk of overthinking and getting upset by situations that can't be helped. Her sensitivity means she sometimes finds it hard to regulate her emotions and is prone to anxiety and outbursts of sadness and anger. She's a very smart person. Sometimes she doesn't find it difficult to be rational about her emotions. Sometimes the way the world views her can get to her. She really doesn't care about what others think of her. Sometimes she can get frustrated by it all. Okay? Because she's a bit of a misfit and prefer her own company, colleagues, and acquaintances might judge her. This can get to an Omega female if she does not understand why it matters. An Omega female sensitivity often linked with her empathy. She's overly sensitive to other people's feelings. Being around loads of people can make her overly emotional. She will take on other people's feelings as her own. This can become quite a burden. If you are an Omega female finding it difficult to regulate your emotions, there is help out there. If you need support, see your doctor. Tell them about your anxiety and stress. You can also look at an alternative form of healing, such as crystal healing. There's so many crystals that help you distress, stay grounded, stabilize sensitivity emotions. She hates shallowness. Some people might think an Omega female is snobby, but this isn't really the case. She finds shallowness extremely boring. An Omega female does not care about designer brand, what celebrity is dating, who, or the beauty trend. If her colleagues are discussing these kind of things, Omega female will often tune out and get lost in her own mind. This will mean she will often get accused of being a snob. But Omega female cannot help being interested. She seeks out discussions that intellectually stimulate her and hates small talk. She doesn't mean to be rude, but she can't hide her boredom. But people try to talk to her about things that she thinks don't matter. The Omega female craves deep discussion about life, love, and the universe. She wants to know people on a much more deeper level. She could often be found with her head in a philosophy book or watching a documentary. Okay? She seeks out enlightenment and understanding that does not wish to get involved in conversations about things that do not help her with this. She does not want to fit in. The Omega female is often an outsider, basically an outcast. Growing up, she might have been seen as the misfit, not really fitting into social group. Sometimes this can get to her, mainly because she does not really understand why her peers care so much about being cool and fitting in. But most of the time, the Omega female doesn't care. She doesn't want to fit in and follow the social norm. She just wants to enjoy life. The Omega female don't want to be a leader of the pack, and she doesn't even want to be in the pack. So she's on the very bottom of the pyramid, of the social hierarchy. She knows who she is and likes it. She doesn't want to be anyone else or feels confident in her personality and life. People will not often understand the Omega female might even be threatened by her outlook on life. Okay? Some people who are obsessed with social hierarchy and being the best, they can't understand why other people don't care about it at all. Now, she can be messy. Alright? The Omega female is often away in her own world. She's a deep thinker and cares a lot about her intellectual pursuit because of this. Other things might take a back seat. Alright, when we keep reading on, an Omega female will have a tendency to be messy. Her house full of stuff. But despite her mess, she will always seem to know where everything is. Other people might see her space or home as chaotic. But for a female, for an Omega female, this is how she likes it. She has never really been organized, by being surrounded by clutter and mess makes her feel comfortable. So, the summary of Omega female traits. Are you related to any of these traits on the list? Omega female is an amazing person. You should be proud of who you are. Alright, let's summarize the traits of Omega female. She's an introvert, prefers to spend time alone or with a handful of people. She has a very few extremely close friends who she trusts. She finds support with these friends. She is extremely intelligent and craves intellectual stimulation. She can be overly sensitive. She's often the empath and feels other people's emotions. She does not like shallowness and prefers deep conversation. She does not want to fit in. She can be chaotically messy. If you relate to being an Omega female, be proud of who you are. This is such an amazing personality type, even though it can be difficult. It means you're your own person. You do exactly what you want to do. Now, who is the Omega female? 15 identifiable traits. So, an Omega female is rather unique of all social personality types. She's independent, smart, prefer her own company over that of others. An Omega woman can be childlike. She can have unrealistic expectations when it comes to relationships. All among the male personality, Omega male usually stand out for his aloofness and intelligence. Aloofness is where he comes off as rude. He does not care to conform with an alpha male or beta male standards. This way he's similar to a sigma male and a sigma female. Just like Omega males, Omega women do not concern themselves with things like alphas, betas, and hierarchies in general. Did you get that? Omega men and women are intelligent. Okay, they keep to themselves, empathetic, often seen as misfits because they don't fit in. An Omega person can also be submissive. If you do want to know more about the Omega female specifically, read on. So, alright. Now, Omega female infographic, okay? She's intelligent, messy, yet creative, aloof, lives in her own thoughts, also empathetic while being a child at heart. She keeps to herself, intelligent, empathetic, clumsy yet creative, does not care to fit in. Her social circle is small, hypersensitive, aloof, childlike. The word aloof is like rude, so to speak. All right. So, Omega female personalities are characterized by their introverted nature. Underneath this shyness, she feels a lot of emotions. Also, once you get to know her better, you realize she might even be taken aback by her intelligence and creativity. This right here. That right there is what I read to you, okay? An Omega woman does not like being in the spotlight. She has small set friends she prefers being alone. Often she gets lost in the world or pursuing her passions on her own. Consequently, she's seen as a social outcast by many. Mm. Additionally, she is highly empathetic, which sometimes leaves her physically and emotionally exhausted. Besides that, she has a submissive attitude, which leaves her feeling ignored and bullied. Omega female characteristics, okay? Following is a list of characteristics an Omega female has endowed with. Trace or detailed account of what was described in the above definition. An Omega woman keeps to herself. Omega female personality is like to be reserved. However, they are introverted. You see on television, that is, they seem withdrawn. But when you get to know them, you realize how passionate and knowledgeable they are. The first impression a Omega woman gives off is that she likes to keep to herself. So, now, she's a polar opposite of an alpha female. An alpha female is outgoing and constantly on the lookout for expanding her network. Meanwhile, an Omega female prefers staying by herself. An Omega female hates being the center of attention. She's comfortable being on her own, does not feel lonely. Moreover, she keeps to herself, occupied with interests. She may engross herself in books, movies, and single-player games among solo activities. With that being said, she takes time to warm up to people. She feels more comfortable if she allows people to get to know her on a personal level. Alright, an Omega female is intelligent. Rather striking thing about Omega females are high intelligent. This trait comes as no surprise. She spends copious time reading books, writing, and learning new skills. Essentially, she engages in activities that intellectually stimulates her. An Omega woman does not hold back when it comes to challenging long-held beliefs and ideas. She loves good philosophical or political debate. A smart, independent woman indeed. Working in groups, as she's most likely the one who supervised the project. She ensures they're meeting the appropriate standards or criteria. Additionally, she utilizes her intelligence to connect with others. She also helps people around her glow succeed. Most people trust her knowledge and often turn to her for some solid advice. Along the lines, before giving her 2 cents, she ensures she has thorough understanding about concerns. She does not take it lightly and puts in the effort. She also considers other parties' emotions apart from her thoughts. An Omega woman is highly empathetic. Speaking of taking stock of other people's emotions, an Omega woman are incredibly empathetic. She tries to put herself in other people's shoes before talking to them. Her understanding and kind nature even stands out during her first conversation with them. With that said, you cannot take an Omega women for granted. They are simply trustworthy, non-judgmental, provide a safe space for people to vent. In social situations, she's a peacekeeper, just like a beta female. She takes care of people she loves and provides them with unconditional support. Right here. Alright, 4. They can be clumsy yet creative. Being a profound thinker, an Omega woman often loses herself in her thoughts. This habit causes other things in her life to take a backseat. For instance, Omega females like to be clumsy, leaving their space entirely cluttered, striking contrast to the way a Gamma female lives. With that being said, she's almost knows where everything she keeps her things. Therefore, what seems like a chaotic mess to others is rather organized for an Omega female. In a way, she takes comfort in her clumsiness. Okay, adding to that, an Omega female is creatively messy. Whatever she undertakes, she likes to add personal touch to it. Despite being unorganized, her creativity is something she understands, likes to keep it that way. Alright, she tends to be aloof, kind of like rude. So, speaking of creating messes, personal things, an Omega woman is quite aloof. It makes sense considering she likes to create in her own world only when she comprehends. This characteristic is contrary to an alpha woman empathetically sociable nature. Her tendency to turn inward gives her the space to construct an ideal living sphere in her mind. This space is of interest, exhilarating, and most importantly, safe haven for the Omega woman. Although she spends most of her time by herself, she never gets bored. Her brain's always in overdrive. She spends considerable time on intellectual pursuit, questioning her beliefs and making sense of her life. Number 6, she tends to be hypersensitive. Given Omega's reserved nature, it's initially difficult to notice her tendency to get emotional. Additionally, she does not open up to people about her emotions. Therefore, her feelings start piling up. She ends up having an outburst eventually. Emotional eruptions are due to pent-up feelings, making Omega woman particularly susceptible to developing mental health issues. Although from outside she may look okay, but she feels strongly beneath the surface. As noted earlier, she spends a lot of her time in her head. This comes to a downside of overanalyzing things despite only highly intelligent. She finds it difficult to rationalize and regulate her emotions sometimes. Moreover, her hypersensitivity can be associated with her empathetic nature. Sometimes she tunes into other people's emotions way more than required. Besides that, she tends to internalize other problems, and this brings her down. If you think you are in a similar place as an Omega female, this is a reminder that there's help. You can reach out to a professional to manage your emotions better. Number 7, she doesn't care to fit in. An Omega woman is at least bothered with other things. Many people often see her as unconventional, a misfit, even rebellious. She is quite laid back, doesn't concern herself with other things about her. An alpha woman typically desires to be the leader of the group. Meanwhile, beta personality does not want to lead and are comfortable following. And then there's the Omega woman who does not even want to be in the group. As mentioned earlier, an Omega female is comfortable being by herself. She never looks for approval from others. No matter what people say about her, she knows herself and is comfortable being her authentic self. Several people cannot figure her out from this particular trait can intimidate them. Her challenge outlook on life can even be a even threaten some. Most individuals spend too much time thinking about their social status and making ranking on the dominance hierarchy. This tendency disallows them from understanding the Omega woman or Omega women. Number 8, her social circles, small. Even though she loves being alone, Omega women enjoy few meaningful connections with other women. An Omega woman preferred open up to 2 or 3 people. These friendships are significant, provide great support to her. Likewise, the Omega woman is loyal and committed to her friendships. They have a wholesome connection where they have each other's back and turn to each other for advice. For an Omega female, quality matters more than quantity when it comes to friendship. So she does not have a large group of friends. Her friends understand and respect her space. They do not push her into spending time with her when she's not up for it. Alrighty. Number 9, she despises shallow thinking. An Omega woman comes across as a snob to many people. However, she merely loathes shallowness. People who chase external validation do not intrigue the Omega female personality. For instance, she finds individuals who dress to impress shallow and boring. Similar to people chasing gossip and join a bandwagon for new trends, do not leave a mark on her. Small talk do not grab Omega women's attention. They get easily bored when people try conversing with them about things that do not fascinate them. They also have trouble masking their lack of interest. This behavior comes across as their being rude. An Omega woman is continuing on the lookout for profound discussion. She loves connecting with people on a sincere level. An Omega female is a childlike in many ways. Omega female is like a child and they notice the little things that most people take for granted. For instance, they get overjoyed by their favorite food or good read or taking them pets for a walk. Apart from paying attention to the little things in life, they also cannot hold grudges for long. Additionally, their imagination runs as just wild as that of a child. They might jump on furniture pretending the floor is lava or pretend to have superpowers. With that being said, they're not childish. Omega females are responsible adults and kids at heart. In fact, they're commendable. They can preserve their inner child. This trait is possibly owing to their lack of need to fit in. So, an Omega female has a submissive mentality. The mindset of Omega female is quite submissive. She spends so much time and effort helping others. Sometimes she feels ignored or misunderstood. A lot of emotional resources go into bettering the lives of others. In the end, she feels defeated and emotionally drained. Additionally, this mindset behavior leaves them feeling bullied in social situations. Now, I'm reading these different articles, okay? So, What is an Omega female personality? That's on leaderboy.com, okay? And but Omegas were the unique ones that you will find. The Omega personality have their own roles similar to others like Alpha and Beta females. So we already went through all this. We already talked about this. They're introverted. They're child at heart. They tend to have few close friends, extremely smart, empathetic, overly sensitive. She gets frustrated when nobody gets her. Omega, she just bite the shallowness. But she loves deep conversation. She doesn't crave to fit in. Okay. Now, the Omega females knows about their likes and dislikes. This we haven't even touched upon, all right? The personality is self-aware, which makes them more understanding towards what they like and dislike. They don't want anyone telling them anything that they don't know about. Because if they're confident in personality they have. Since the Omega doesn't care about the social hierarchy, that being the best, they're sometimes seen as threatened by those who do. We already said they're messy. So, Omega females in a relationship, all right? Now, we're going to touch on this. Omega females are someone who can be described as someone lovey-dovey or single. Instead of that, they have no gray area for them. There's someone who loves fairy tale romance who wants to be a heroine in their story. They have personality traits. Omega believe in the concept of the one. Instead of dating a lot, they prefer traditional romance. Because of this, they remain single until they find someone who makes them feel special, instead of from jumping from one relationship to another. Not just that, they are not someone who likes modern dating. They are also not interested in showing their feelings on social media. The Omega females will do it in person. Omega female likes to be more vocal. They let it be more in a traditional way. Now, as for what kind of person they want to be in a relationship, it includes they need a partner who knows the right way of courting them and feel special. Also, they want a partner who can have deep conversation, explore weird things, or show appreciation. So, if their partner is alpha, they will form a close relationship which can be telepathic or empathetic qualities. As for the balance, where alphas are more possessive and jealous of the partner, Omega might turn submissive. So, with that being said, I'm glad you got a chance to listen to the video on Omega female personality. Now, this is a rather educational concept to help sharpen other people's mindset, okay? Thank you for listening. You have a great day, and cheers.